Hi and welcome to Driven Plus, and we have a little bit of a different format today. Now, I spoke to Troy a couple of weeks ago. I said, Troy, it's coming up to June soon, and that would mean he would have his SV for around 6 months. And then he dropped the clanger that he is rejecting his SV, literally rejecting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many of you will know of Driven Plus because of our content on the SV. We've done a lot on this car. We've done 360 reviews, first look. We even went to the very first video of the Range Rover House Unlocked.
Yeah.
We've documented a lot of this car's life, and I think it's best to give you an update of it's now come to the end of its life.
Well, the idea was for that car was to do some road trips.
Yeah.
Because we do a lot of the road trips over Europe as Driven Plus, and it was going to be a support car and be one of the cars on the trips, which obviously has come to a kind of an end now, because a lot of our trips have high-end performance cars, etc. on it. So you know, obviously with that we need a good support vehicle to go with it, really.
So you handed the keys back on the 18th of May.
So
well, I think we'll go to the start. Of why we've come to this. Well, why you've come to this situation or decision, why you've rejected the car.
Yeah.
What kind of kick-started that feel in your head?
Obviously, we got the car. 36 hours after having the car, it failed.
Yeah. When you say failed, transfer box.
Transfer box.
A lot of
you can see the story. You can link to the
link on the screen now.
Link on the screen to that story, because we don't really want to go over it too much. When we picked up the car, there was a fault in the leather that you actually picked up while you were looking around the car with me. So there was already a fault in the leather before the thing took place. Didn't put me off, because obviously, you know, it can be changed out. It's picked up. The leather can be. It was actually the cover on the glove box. So that was fine. 36 hours later, it failed. It was in with them for around about 2 weeks.
Yeah, I remember.
Because they had it. They had it. We were obviously booked in to go on CarWow, because it was one of the first, if not the first, SV in the public's hands. It was a January 23 car, a January 24 car.
Yeah.
But it was on the 73 plate, not the 24 plate. So still didn't put me off. Then the recall notice came through. It was a month, probably a month and a half. I rung up and said, look, does mine need this recall? Because obviously I've had a new transfer box. And online they said, yes, it does, because your numbers don't, you know, obviously I was...
Different batch number.
Yeah, a different batch number, because we've heard so much about these cars. You know, as Driven Plus, we've had an awful lot of subscribers and the community get in touch with us. Yeah,
so we've had people from literally all over the world get in touch with us about their Sport SV. So we've had someone from Vancouver, Canada. Their transfer box went waiting for parts, big lead time of parts there. We had someone from the US get in touch with us that their SV broke. Dealership knew nothing about it.
Was that the one with the oil? That was the oil on the floor?
Yeah. Apparently the dealership knew absolutely nothing about this issue. But then we know 2 people in the UK.
2 people in the UK.
And
one of them has had, it wasn't delivered.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't delivered due to an oil leak found, and then I think it's 750 miles transfer case went on it. Yeah, then so Tracy's was at 610 miles. Yeah, mine at 320. I'm getting to the point now that 100% of the people I have been in contact with their cars have failed. And had a transfer box, had oil leaks, had this, had that. So I'm getting alarmed about the vehicle. And then I got to looking at the recall notice, and literally the day before it was due to go in, I got a phone call from the dealer saying, there's no point in you coming in. We've got the leather piece that can be changed over, but there's no point you coming in because the actual car is the parts aren't available, and they're on a 6-week
lead time
back order. And knowing my worries, when people say things are on 6-week and thingy orders, sometimes that means it can just move and move and move.
Yeah, of course it can.
You know, because I've had parts on cars in the past, BMWs and all sorts, and they have 6-week lead, or means they don't know when they're coming in. So that was a worry. The car was still drivable at that point, but there was a few other things happened. The E on the back of the car, it had always been on an angle. Picture probably on screen somewhere now. The E was always on an angle, and it was quite funny because I had the front of the car PPF'd, and when I brought it up with the dealer, they did say, well, did they take them off for the PPF? And I was like, no, because only the front was done. So that would be a whole new badge ordered to make it straight. So what I was going to do was we were going to do a colour change on the vehicle, so that would have come off for the colour change, and we would have
we're going to
re-straightened it up, because there's no point having a whole sign. But anyway, there was that. The A pillar started making and it came away. So the A pillar with the ABS, with the airbag on it, that came away, and it was horrific. And when I actually stopped and looked at it, the two sides of the car weren't symmetrical. So on one side, the A pillar went behind the roof lining. One side, well, don't know which side was right. Okay. And then it got worse and worse to the point you could, 10, 15 mil worth of gap. There is a video or some images that you'll show, because I recorded it. And then the mark on the leather, and then the seat leather, because it had done 7,500 miles, it started rising, bulging. So it was weird, like a whoopee cushion under the seat. So again, I do believe there was a lot to do with the leathers and vegan and all sorts of things. So whether the leathers now in this new Range Rover, and I don't know, because I didn't look too much into it, I just wanted the red and black interior. Maybe these new leathers have some issues, I don't know, but it was wearing really quickly. So if it'd done that in 7,500 miles, what's it going to look like? What's it going to look like after a whole lot more miles? And then the suspension started knocking. So it's, having had a McLaren that has similar suspension to it, the last time I can liken it to was when the accumulators went on the McLaren. So I could drive down a road and on small undulations and bumps, it was as if there was a metal on.
Like a knocking sound.
A knock that wasn't, something had loosened or something had thingy to allow something to hit something. So in my head, I'm thinking, everybody I know who's bought one has had a fault, and they've been in getting them fixed. The transfer cases.
And you've took all these little issues.
So it was all, it was just all snowballing.
So it was tedious,
and I'm
really.
sat there going, I do a lot of miles. This car is massively impressive, but in 3 years' time, because this car I was going to keep for at least 3 years, it just didn't stack up. So what I did, my wife studies the law, so we looked through consumer rights, and I took the decision to reject the car. It's simple as that. So I sent an email to the dealership and said, on the 1st of May, and said, I'm rejecting the vehicle. I heard
on the basis that it's failed.
Yeah. So it took about 2 weeks for the dealership, because obviously I didn't go in for the recall. The recall was on the never. So I waited about 2 weeks, and then an answer came back and said yes, they would take the car back. And I had to pay a mileage charge, stuff like that, for the amount of mileage I put on. But Range Rovers now are going down. So since...
Well, 189 you give for your car.
Well, I gave 189. The car was 181 because it got mats and things thrown in. But the since handing the keys back and it going, because soon as they accepted that they were taking it back, it was sold within... it was back to them. The deal had been done. We'd gone on the track day. So it's probably 2 weeks ago now. And you and me got together, and I said when I handed it back, there was a brand new one in the dealership that wasn't even listed anywhere. So we started looking at the market and making a few phone calls. And I phoned a dealer and said I'd like to part X my car. I didn't have it; I'd already done the deal, but I just wanted to see, because we were speculating on where the market was. And I got offered 145,000 against a DBX 707. Because I thought I'll have a look at a few different cars, and see what we do. So I did that. I rung up a dealership and said, I've seen a nice car that you've got, and from a Range Rover dealership, I got offered 130 to 133 for the car. At that time, and this is a week ago, I went on We Buy Any Car and put my registration number in with the 7,500 miles, and it came back as about £111,000. Now, a few minutes ago we put it in.
Yeah.
It's 126. but there's part of me now going, wow, thank God I got to hand back my car. Because on my car alone, and mine was a high-spec car, 168 grand starting price. Mine was 191. I got it for 189 because I'd waited so long. I got mats and flaps and the normal dealer stuff that they do, and a few other bits and pieces. But it was, it just hit me. It hit me the day we were on the track day of, wow, thank God I got, thank God I was able to use my consumer rights. They're there to protect you as an owner.
Of course they are.
But then after the fact,
I think people need to know more about consumer rights.
Well, after the fact, the realisation, we don't want to give law things here. We can look into it. We've got my wife, Caroline. But it was a realisation for me, holy shit, this market is crumbling, tanking.
It is.
I've got to thank JLR, because that is the absolute most amazing 4 months, because the car is on point. It, even on the drives out that we've had and gone and had lovely drives over the peaks, Cheddar Gorge, all that sort of stuff. It's been phenomenal. And other drivers, Lamborghini drivers, Performante drivers have gone, it's a pretty amazing car. Ferrari drivers, saying how good a car it was. And I think that's an accolade to it. And it brings us right back around to when it comes out on CarWow,
just see how good it is.
Against what else is in the market. It's impressive. It shouldn't do what it does. And I am sad, because I am now in a massive dilemma on what I buy for my replacement daily driver.
Completely agree.
Because I have been absolutely 100% spoilt with the Range Rover SV. And had they got that car right, I would have happily driven that car.
And this is the question
for the next 3 years.
You said those words, had they got that car right, which they didn't. I think the first thing is they sold this to 500 clients, invite only, invited to buy this edition 1.
Invite only, yeah.
You could then put a £5,000 refundable deposit.
Fully refundable, I remember those words.
Fully refundable deposit.
Yeah.
There's you and 500 other people who's bought this SV, and obviously they've got their deposit back because there's loading in that's being sold on Auto Trader and not on there. Does it put you off if Range Rover to get in touch with you again and say, look, Troy, we've got this edition 2 coming out, it's going to be this, it's going to be that? Would it put you off?
On a new flagship model that is brand new with new technology that the company doesn't know about, yes, it would. Because I've heard a lot of YouTubers recently, and I can't pinpoint which ones they are at the moment. It could be Harry's Garage or CarWow or any of them. I do wonder whether cars are being put out too soon, and the public now are being used with these special editions as the guinea pigs for the cars. That's my own personal view. I think for considering the amount of time that car has been out there, and obviously we in the time have met JLR staff who work within those departments of that car, who themselves, and I will never name them, who themselves have said, we've run these cars for 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 months, whatever, given them all hell, and nothing's gone wrong.
I think if Range Rover got this car right, if they got it absolutely spot on, I think it could have changed their reputation in terms of performance, reliability. And that's an update on the Range Rover Sport SV, which is no longer in
part
the
of our garage.
There we go, no longer part of the Driven Plus fleet. So what we'll do, we'll keep you updated on what Troy's going to replace it with in next few weeks/months. And I'd like to thank you for watching. Thank you, Troy, for giving us an update on the SV. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, and goodbye.